Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming to Cluster API Azure Office Hours. We do this every Thursday at this time. Um, Today is the 14th of September. Yeah, I had to look it up because I don't remember. Um, if you wouldn't mind adding your name like John is doing right now, we uh, tend to do that so people have a record of who was here. They can look each other up later. Um, I should mention that we are a project under Kubernetes SIG cluster lifecycle. Therefore, we abide by the general Kubernetes rules of code of conduct, which I'm sure you've heard a bunch of times before, but basically means let's try not to talk over each other and everybody be nice to each other. Um, Here at the beginning, we take a minute to, if anyone is new or wants to introduce themselves or reintroduce themselves, I'll just be quiet for a minute and you can unmute and say hello if you want to. I'll do that now.
Hello, am I audible?
Yep.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Sayan. I'm from India working with Microsoft. I'm part of the Flatcar team, and I have known Ashutosh for a long time. And recently, we met at Kubernetes conference in India recently, and we were discussing about. I was pinging him on how to contribute, and he told there's a workload identity work he has been working on, and he definitely needs I can definitely help there. So I thought of joining this meeting, and also before this, I've been trying a bit of helping in the publishing bot as well. So yeah, glad to be here in this meeting.
Awesome. Welcome, Sion. Thanks for coming. Yeah, Ashutosh is usually here, but he said he couldn't make it today, so that's great to have a connection. All right. Um, we can move on to our fairly light agenda, but if you have anything you think of while we're talking or whatever, please feel free to just add it to the list here so we don't forget about it. John, you want to start out with the generics PR?
Yeah, sure. So I just opened a PR yesterday to use generics in some of the ASO stuff. And kind of the motivation behind using generics here is that between the ASO kind of wrapper code and the more concrete service implementations, there's quite a bit of shuffling going around between of resources between like the ASO generic stuff and the actual services. And there has to be a lot of kind of type checking in between some of that stuff where generics kind of eliminates the need for a lot of that stuff. So this was kind of my first non-trivial experimentation with generics at all. So if anybody kind of has used generics before quite a bit and has any feedback, that would be very much appreciated. Or if you are looking to kind of learn more about generics, this might be a good kind of concrete, non-trivial thing to look at to see kind of how that'll work. So I did go through and kind of added in a bunch of comments, just kind of thoughts that I had along the way. But yeah, if anybody has feedback or questions, please just drop any of that on the PR. Does anybody have any questions now that I might be able to answer? Cool. And yeah, if not, feel free to take a look at the PR and follow up there. That was all I had.
Awesome. I think it's time. We, as people may know, we introduced some generics through this conversion we're to SDKv2 we're going through because they use generics in some things we had to consume, but it wasn't really that intentional. This looks a lot more pervasive, much more interesting to me. That's cool, John. All right, well, if there are no questions about that, um, the next thing I had was the release today. We have delayed the release. Originally, it was going to be on Monday, and we talked about it and decided since all this SDK v2 conversion stuff is still in progress, it would be nice if we could get all of it or most of it to land. Um, for sort of optics reasons, but also for some practical reasons in that, you know, it can make it trickier to cherry pick stuff because these are pretty big changes, but we're almost there. There's basically one more service to convert, which is the big one, virtual machines, but is passed. And John gave it an LGTM, so probably that will merge soon today. There's another one with tests that I'm still working out some mistakes I basically made. That could also land today, but I would argue it doesn't necessarily have to, because there's less chance that the test changes will be problematic for future maintenance. Or you could make the argument that we ought to finish the whole unit of work. But basically, I'm proposing maybe we could release today after that last one lands, but I'd be interested to hear what other people think. John?
Yeah, I think at least for the testing stuff, I think that's something we can backport, right? So like if we do cut the release, then we can backport the testing changes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Cool. I did have one other thing. I have a couple PRs open for some AKS features that have been highly requested. And I think those PRs are pretty much good, pending additional reviews. So I might follow up. I know Cecile has taken a look at both of them. So I might follow up with her offline to see if it's still, or if those PRs are still ones that we definitely want to include in the release.
Okay. There's a whole bunch of great work just coming to fruition here. Not the SDK v2 stuff so much because that was sort of mechanical, but then obviously the tension is always, should we delay the release until we're hitting that head on. We kind of said Monday we would release basically today, no matter what. But it's obviously not the end of the world if we don't. Just you know, we don't want to set a precedent of waiting and waiting for PRs to land, because in the past we've kind of said in general we want to do the opposite, but we made an exception this time. So anyway, does anyone else have any other opinions about the release? I'm sure Cecile has some opinions as well, but can follow up with her afterwards. Okay, well, I guess we'll see how it goes today. If we're lucky and most of these things merge by end of day, then I think we just cut the release around then. But we try to avoid doing it on Friday, just because you don't have a lot of follow-up. If we break the test, then they're broken all weekend, etc. So sorry, my wife is in a meeting here. Okay, well, if there's no other comments about that, I guess that's the tentative plan, is we will hope to release today, depending on which of these PRs land. I do think if we just do the virtual machines and nothing else, that's probably okay. But let's see how other stuff goes. Sounds good. All right. Next, Yashwant, you want to highlight this PR? I probably got your name wrong. I'm sorry about that. If you're speaking, I can't hear you. Well, I think you made your question pretty self-explanatory there. I'm not sure if you're having audio issues or something, but so you're saying, oh, sorry. You're asking contributor guidelines, only members can be formally assigned. I don't think that's I don't think that's correct, is it? You don't have to be a member of the SIG to contribute a PR. You just have to sign the CLA bot. Otherwise, it would be difficult for people to become contributors or become to get in if there was a chicken and egg problem like that. So I guess I'm not that familiar with the contributor guidelines, but I'm pretty sure that's not a problem if you want to submit issue or pull request, just go for it. And if it is a problem, we always sort of deal with that just in time. Like if people can't get the CLA verified, or if there's a context where you need to actually be a member of the SIG, we're pretty good at doing that just in time. So hopefully you can hear me and that answers your question, but I wouldn't hesitate to go ahead and open a PR or do whatever you want. It's not generally an issue. And we would certainly appreciate any contributions. Okay, I guess that's all we had here. Does anybody else have anything to add? Well, happy Hackathon week, Microsofties, and everybody else have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.
Oh, hello. Can you
Yep.
hear me?
Oh, now we can hear you. Oh, great.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
This .md, the markdown file, where there is a section where it says that only the SIG, the user has to be part of the SIG members group or so. So, just checking to see if that is the case, or I have the contributor license, but just want to double check on that.
Is that true? Like it, /assign has to be to someone in the organization. That might be true. I guess I'm a little fuzzy on it. On the other hand, I wouldn't hesitate to create the PR. I'm pretty sure that's not been an issue for us. Let me see what issue and pull request management. Anyone may comment and submit reviews. In order to be assigned, you must be a member of Kubernetes SIGs. You're eligible for membership. I mean, I hadn't read this. I don't think this is a. We've definitely had contributions from people who are not already in the Kubernetes or Kubernetes SIG groups. So in practice, I don't think this is actually a problem. I would say to ignore it and just go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else anyone wants to talk about? I guess we already kind of signed off, so let's call it good. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Matt.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. See you.